What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 79. I'm your host, Kevin, aka The Muffin Mon, and today I'm joined by the double A man himself, Garrett. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a little warm. I got a ring light on me. I'm just trying to make myself even warmer than I am. We also have Mr. Physical Copy himself, Ethan. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Kind of a sad day for story number 3. I know we'll get to it, but I've been looking at all my physical copies of games made by them. It's been beautiful. So,
well, I'm glad we can take some time to reminisce. As everyone knows, Tom is no longer a regular panel member, so he's unfortunately not here. And Amon is off taking his LSATs or studying, or I don't know, he's trying to become a bird lawyer or something. But we have a very special guest this week. He is the host of Burnout Brighter, where he not only discusses video games, but shines a light on the importance of mental health. He's the co-host of the PlayStation Drive from our friends over at Yomi and Capri, my fellow lover of pop punk, Matt Sowinski. How are you doing, my friend?
Woo! I'm stoked to be here, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about a whole bunch of good news stuff and hang out with you guys for the next little while. I'm stoked.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. I've been looking forward to this all week. Obviously, we met through the Yumi Capri community and then bonded over our love of pop punk bands. So this is awesome. But little housekeeping before we get into the actual show. Remember, if you like the podcast, we're live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time right here on YouTube. If you can't catch us live, we post every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern time on all your favorite podcast services. While you're over there, we would love if you could drop us a review and rating, whether that's on Spotify or Apple. If you leave us a 5-star Apple review, we will read it live on the podcast, just like OBIer10 did, and says, I love the bite-sized reviews. Keep up the good work. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. If you want to interact with us more, join our Discord. The link is in the description down below. And if you want early access to all our content besides this podcast, because it's live, head on over to patreon.com/projectxtalk. And $1 a month, you get all of our content early, plus the Patreon shout out. So shout out to Bucky Blue, Hopple, and Alpaca Tom for supporting us. We appreciate all of you. Now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, since we have a guest, we have to do the guest questions.
yeah.
Matt, this is an Xbox podcast, so I don't actually know your history with Xbox. So I want to know, what's your first Xbox and what's your favorite Xbox franchise?
Okay. My first Xbox was like the OG Chunky Boy Xbox. Had that back in the day. But like for me, like my relationship with Xbox has always kind of been like I go there for my exclusives and I hop over there and take a look and I like to play them. In terms of like my favorite Xbox franchise, I have a soft spot for Halo, obviously. I feel like that's kind of the default answer, but like I think my favorite price probably Gears of War.
Okay.
And I haven't played the last couple, but like I have a lot of fond memories of playing co-op with my brother. And like we would always save those games. Neither one of us would play them without each other, and then we'd like rip through them together over the summers and stuff. And now like shout out to Ryan Turford who hooked me up with the Xbox Series X a few months ago. That's currently on the docket for this summer. I'm excited to kind of catch up with Gears of War because I haven't played a ton of Xbox since the 360, and then now with the Series X, working my way back through Game Pass, kind of rejoining the ecosystem has definitely been a fun ride.
Nice. I think you're probably in the same boat as a lot of people. They kind of dipped out last generation when it was the weaker generation by far.
Yeah.
Probably the weakest of the Xbox, if we're being honest. But the Series X has kind of reinvigorated their interest in the ecosystem. So that's awesome. And I think you're the first person to say Gears of War, so you're gonna have that.
Yeah.
I also play through every Gears with my brother, so it's a great bonding game, a great little something we've done since the 360 with the very first one. So
playing Horde until 3 in the morning in Gears of War 3. Oh man, those are the days.
Oh man, Gears is crazy. Gears used to be dope. Alpaca Tom in the chat, shout out. Thanks for stopping by. I'm finally famous, he says. And Arkwing, thanks for stopping by. I see Kingdom Hearts news. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. We will get there. But before we get there, we have to start each and every episode, as we always do, by going around the room and asking one simple question. And that question is, what you playing? So, Matt, as the guest, what are you playing?
I have been working my way through a couple different things. I'm working on a couple of reviews. First of which is for Dying Light 2. I'm liking the game. I'm not in love with it. but like it's fun enough that it's keeping me going. It gets a little like too edgy for you sometimes with some of the way that the writing is written and like even just the amount of swearing. And like if you listen to our show, we swear a lot, but like this almost feels like forced, like it's like too much at times where I'm kind of like, this didn't need to be there, like especially not in this way. But like the core gameplay loop is super addicting, so I'm having a lot of fun with it. Like I think I'm about like 15 to 20 hours in, so much more to go to that 500-hour mark, but you know, we'll get there when we get there. Otherwise, I've been playing a bunch of Oddworld. I got a Steam Deck a few weeks ago, so I've been spending a lot of time setting that guy up. So I've been using that to rip through all the Oddworld, and that game is just ridiculously fun. Like I'm sure as Kevin, you know, similarly growing up, it was a lot of the pop punk, the, you know, the skater culture was a massive part of, you know, my adolescence. So kind of hopping in there, and it really does capture the vibe of what I remember the culture to be like. And I remember it to be like, it's just fun. It's wacky. Doesn't take itself too seriously, but has a lot of heart. It's just a lot of fun. And then, yeah, just getting a lot of emulators and stuff set up on the Steam Deck, getting things together, getting things running. But like obviously the first thing that I had to do on that thing is load up Persona 4 Golden for the first time.
Yes.
Well, load it up again because I ripped through it back on Vita, and like I'm the biggest Persona fan. So downloading that again and kicking up a new save and just kind of going back to Inaba is just so special. Like I love that so much. I think it's like the first time that was a time that like I actually felt wanderlust for a place I've never been to before. I was like, I just want to go back to that virtual place and hang out with all my virtual friends again. Mm-hmm. So those are I've been jumping back and forth between all of those so far.
How are you liking the Steam Deck so far? Because you're the first person I've talked to that actually has one.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's really awesome. But like, man, does it take some work to set up like the way that you kind of want it to be? Like out of the box, everything runs great. There's no major issues. Like I've also been playing through Persona 4 Arena Ultimax for my first time and working my way through story mode. And again, it works well, but just some of the configuring, even for like Persona 4 Golden, which to be fair isn't like Steam Deck verified. There are, you know, little things that you can do to get things running. It's a lot of, you know, trial and error depending on what game you're looking to kind of hop into. I've read more about Linux in the past few weeks than I have for the entirety of my life combined. So even just figuring out like, you know, how do I get torrents set up? How do I get these emulators going? Where do I find this stuff again? You know, button mapping and just like configuring. There's a lot of configuring to do, and it takes a while for everything to kind of click. But in terms of just like out of the box experience, it's fantastic. It's lighter than I thought it was going to be while also being bigger than I thought it was going to be. But I have big hands, so the form factor doesn't bother me too much as of yet. And like so far, I've been pretty much just like playing it kind of, you know, on the couch or, you know, on the train, but to and from work. So like I haven't run into the battery problem as of yet, but that's because I haven't used it for 3 or 4 hours, like more than probably 2 hours in one sitting. But it's awesome, dude. Like it's unreal sitting there being like, okay, I'm going to, you know, I'm playing some Persona 4 Golden. Okay, now I'm going to hop over into some God of War because I have that on Steam. And then I'm going to hop over to, you know, Xbox Game Pass and load up Tunic. And then I'm going to hop over into, you know, Guardians. Like and then I'm going to hop over and play Mega Man Battle Network 3 on, you know, my Game Boy Advance emulator. Like just the amount of stuff you can do with it is baffling. Like it doesn't feel real, but it does take some work to get everything going the way that you want it to.
You're making me want one. You're making me want one.
So good.
Yeah. Did you get a review video up and yet running yet? Like that could be good. You just sold me as well.
Oh, a review of the Steam Deck.
I haven't just yet. It's in the works right now. I'm just trying to catch up with the review backlog because, like, unfortunately, I put myself into a bit of a hole and then got COVID, and then I was like out of commission for like 3 weeks. So like now I'm just like climbing back up and evening back out. But that's definitely on the docket because this thing does a lot of really cool stuff.
Sounds awesome. Alpaca Tom, I'm still waiting for my deck, part of the Q3 crowd, and I ordered it day one. Unfortunate. I was sitting there and I was like, all right.
I was tempted.
Do I click pre-order?
Right.
And I was like, I don't need this.
I was in the same boat. I was like, you know what, for $5 I'll throw it down, and as I get closer to it, like I'll see if I actually keep the order or not. We'll see. And as I got closer to it, I'm a sucker for hype. I'm a sucker for new tech, so it's kind of like, should I? Probably not, but I'm going to, and let's see what happens. And very lucky that my lovely wife is very supportive in all of my gaming and idiotic endeavors, and she's like, go ahead, and I'm like, yes. So I no regrets so far.
It's Kyle in the chat says, bring back Battle Network.
Just every time
Yes.
on the PlayStation Drive, there's rumors of a new collection or anything. I'm like, just give it back. I just want it. I own all of them. Like the physical copies. And like, I'm not a physical gamer, but I bought them all.
Oh, I was going to say good man, but
no, sorry. I wanted to get in front of that because I see your impressive display.
This isn't even it.
I don't doubt that. But yeah, for me, I was just kind of like, just give it. I just want a collection. Is that so much to ask for, Capcom? Come on.
Not in my opinion. Me and my brother have been waiting for it forever. We got the Zero collection, which I love the Zero games back in the day, but like Battle Network is where my heart is, you know? That's awesome. Good stuff going on over there. Ethan, what have you been playing?
So I've been playing a lot of the new Skywalker saga. I haven't picked up a Lego game period since the Nintendo DS, and it has been an absolute blast jumping back into it. The world of this game is so much larger than any other Lego game I've ever seen before. I mean, there is so much content to do. There's free roam areas that you can run around. There's so many different puzzles and secrets to find. I think you would really like this game, Kevin, knowing you love and go around, find secrets, do platforming stuff, puzzles and everything. This game checks all those boxes. It is so much fun. And yeah, it's just bigger than any other Lego game I've played. So, I mean, I think this is probably going to be a 100 hour plus game for me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that big. Like I've probably sunk 6-7 hours into it so far. And I haven't even left Tatooine, which is the first world in episode 4, because there's just that much to do. It's Kyle said, what order are you playing in? It makes you start at episode 4 and continue from there. Everything else is locked. So
I
you
don't
have
think
to start
so.
at episode 4.
No, I actually started with Phantom Menace. I went back.
Really?
You can start with I think 1, 4, or
1,
7.
4, and 7. Yep, you can start in the trilogy.
Maybe I just saw episode 4 first, and I was like, oh, I see other locks, and I'll just start with this. But that's how I would have started anyways. So that's okay. But in terms of other games, I've been playing a lot of MLB 22. I got to say, if I paid $70 for this, I would be pissed off right now. There is absolutely no difference between 22 and 21, like an egregious amount of no difference. Like I know sports games have that issue where it's pretty much just reskins of the players and updated rosters and stuff, but this is just an egregious example of that. They haven't even changed the menus. I know in they have this game mode called Road to the Show where you just have your own player and you play as him, and they have these little podcasts in between that talk about you and your career and stuff like that from actual MLB Network hosts and stuff like that. They didn't even change those. The same exact clips from a year ago. So for all the PlayStation players out there that bought this game for $70, I can't imagine they're very happy about it right now. But for someone that got it on Game Pass, I'm playing the heck out of it. It's been a lot of fun. I love seeing baseball sims back on the Xbox. It's something that I haven't played since 2012 with 2K12. So I haven't been able to play baseball sims for almost a decade now. So it's nice getting back into that rhythm.
That's interesting. I mean, I play FIFA every year, so I definitely know the whole
you know the struggle.
Sports just this could have been a patch. There's you know, they always just find one mechanic and they're like, that's going to be broken this year.
Right.
They don't really change much. Alpaca Tom says, stop hyping him up, Ethan. He still needs to play Elden Ring. I'm not playing Elden Ring, guys.
He's not gonna do it
at this point. Like it's just
tried.
It's over. All right, like it's come and gone. If I was gonna play it, I would have already.
You'll play it one day when it's on like sale for $5 when you have your Xbox Series X12 or whatever. It's
no,
come
I
on.
don't think so. Garrett, what have you been playing?
I've been on vacation, so it's been mainly like everything's melted around here, so it's day drinks and yard work. But I've been working through my backlog. So like, what do I got on the plate? Finally finishing up the Legacy Edition Mass Effect, or Legendary Legacy.
Yep.
Yeah. And tried to do Jurassic Park 2 again. I can't do it. It's just the campaign is so broken from number 1 over. I'm done with it. And other than that, me and my buddy started a big across the world thing of Civ 6 online. But that's my typical game. Nothing new there.
It always surprises me when you're like, I love Civilization.
Dude, it is such a fun game.
They're fun games. They really are.
Like you could just watch a person get destroyed from 50 turns out. Like it's such a playing with your buddies and like seeing them like slowly just lose faith in their eyes. It's great. Like, it's just like, it's gonna take me an hour to crush your soul, but you already know I've won.
So does Civ multiplayer just become like basically a giant game of Risk?
Basically, yeah. And then like you can
Right.
make a multiplayer game and then you post it up online. And then as long as your buddies came in on the first day, you could just save the world at the end of your play session. Then the next time you guys get together, you could just sort of pick up where it left off.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's like, yeah, you can just have like a 2-3 week game.
That's a lot of commitment, though. I don't know about
Oh,
that.
come on. You can't just have a couple beers with your buddies at the end of the day. Like, what were we doing before all this?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
No, not me. I got things to play like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini.
Yeah.
Rehydrated.
How's that platinum run going?
Ask what you've been up to this week, but I guess we know now.
Yeah, Xbox I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't played much this week, but it's a little slow right now. You know, not many games out there to pick up.
Skywalker Saga.
They should have some,
You'll like it.
They should have some big releases in April and May. There's nothing I'm excited about until June when we get Mario Strikers, Fire Emblem. Oh my Lord, I'm so excited. But I did play SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. And not only did I play it, I got the platinum. So it's done. It's just an enjoyable game. Like, is it a good game? No, it's not. It's
still got the platinum though.
Yeah, it's still.
You're a madman.
Listen, it feels very much like a PlayStation 2 game. And I know this is a remaster.
That sounds great.
But the amount of pop-in is ridiculous.
Really?
Yes, it is egregious.
Wow.
You load into the world and everything, and then it just like you see everything pop in all at once.
Did you play it back when it came out originally?
No, I never played this one. I played the other SpongeBob games back in the day, but I never got this one. And I was really surprised because I'm playing on PS5, obviously, because it's a PS Plus game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I expected things to like instantly like just be here. I didn't expect it to look amazing, but the amount of pop-ins a little bit much, and the load times are really long. And I'm saying like maybe it's because it's a PS4 game, so it's not using the SSD like it would a PS5 game. But it's still not great. Like, but the platinum was easy enough. It's beat every level and collect everything. So collect 80 of Patrick's socks and 100 golden spatulas. And to get the 100 golden spatulas, you have to literally do everything, like do all the little missions in the levels. But it's just a solid 3D platformer, and I love those. I love those games, guys. Levels, collecting things, hopping around, just an overall good time. And it's short. It's like 8 hours for the platinum or something. So nothing major there. Other than that, I touched Persona 4 Arena Ultimax briefly. I played Persona 4 Golden 2 years ago now, so I don't know if I'm ready to go back in for another playthrough. But I wanted to do Arena because I hadn't played that. So I've played through the stories there. It's good. I'm waiting for rollback in the summer to actually like dive in and play like online and try to like actually get good at the game, because it's harder. Like I like fighting games, Guilty Gear and like Phantom Breaker I've been really into lately, and those games I think I pick up a lot easier than this one.
I had like similarly, like I play some fighting games sometimes. Like I think the last one that I was like super in on was probably like Injustice, and I keep like looking at Guilty Gear being like, that game looks real pretty and it has a real cool anime style there and I want to check it out. But I mean, Persona, I hopped into the story mode and then it's like, all right, here's your first fight. And I was like, I don't know how to do anything. And it was very quickly like, where's the tutorial? Having to back out, find it in the menus. But like, yeah, I keep hearing that the story is so good, which is why I picked it up. But like, I've probably only spent like an hour with it so far. So the story's good? It's worth the trek.
I think the story's good. Have you played Persona 3?
Yeah.
I haven't played Persona 3, so I think you might actually like it more because there's like a story mode, and then there's like a Ultimax has a P4 episode shows you the like it's an additional DLC story or something. for Ultimax. So they'll follow the Persona 4 characters, and then they have a P3 one, which will follow the Persona 3 characters that are in the game. I mean, they all like intermingle and stuff, but it'll just give you different perspectives.
Nice.
The game is super visual novel. Like,
yeah.
I was really surprised that there's probably only like 6 fights in every character's like story mode, and the other like 30 minutes of each character is like just reading dialogue. I just sat here and I was like scrolling on my phone, looking out, reading. I'm like, oh, I got it. Yep. But no, it was good. It's enjoyable.
Nice. I love that. I love a good visual novel. So for me, that's I'm excited to jump back in.
The only visual novel I've really tried is Danganronpa.
Oh yes, Danganronpa is so good. Steins Gate is another fantastic one. But if you don't like just like sitting there and reading, and like I didn't realize what I was doing in Steins Gate probably until like halfway through the game when I was like, oh, just looking at my cell phone can change the entire narrative of the game. But like that's another fantastic one if you're ever looking for a good sci-fi ride of a game.
I liked Danganronpa, but I fell off of it after like 3 chapters because I was like, I get it. Like I understand where this is going.
Yeah.
And I did just go. I wanted to know like what actually. So I did just go look up like because I'm like I'm not gonna go back, but like the story was interesting enough that I want to know like how this was gonna end. And I was like, oh, that was I didn't expect that. That's a good. It was a trigger happy havoc for the story. Yeah. So I was like I didn't see that coming. That's a good twist.
That series gets so ridiculous by the end of 3 in the best way. It gets so ridiculously meta and just absolutely bonkers with like that series goes. But yeah, I can understand falling off.
Our co-host, who's supposed to be studying for the LSAT, says Doki Doki Literature Club is the best visual novel.
Yeah, that one too. That's a wild ride.
That's a trip.
All right, guys. Well, now that we've gotten through that, it's time for a segue. So have a seat while I grab some books from the library and tell you this week's stories. So before we get into the actual news, I did just want to mention there is an article from Jason Schreier that came out yesterday detailing allegations that Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has been actively interfering in the state's investigation of Activision Blizzard, and 2 lawyers have left their jobs because of it. If you want to read that, head over to Bloomberg. I didn't include it because I don't feel that we as non-legal people are qualified to talk about that story, but you can go read it if you want. What we are qualified to talk about is Kingdom Hearts 4 is real. Announced during the series' 20th anniversary event, Kingdom Hearts 4, the next mainline entry in the Kingdom Hearts series, has been announced. While the trailer does not give any indication of platform or release window, we do get scenes of a redesigned Sora in a new world called Quadratum, I think, and an ending tease with Donald Duck and Goofy. It was confirmed that the game is currently using Unreal Engine 4, but will switch to 5 for further development. Ethan, I'm going to go to you first. You a Kingdom Hearts guy?
So the answer, I have never played a Kingdom's Heart. I watched a lot of my buddies play it back in the day, but I just never got into them. But I think this is going to be the first one that I play. The thing that interests me about this is that Disney has expanded so much since Kingdom Hearts 3. And they've acquired so many IPs that I think they could tie into these games. And I'm really interested to see how they try and work some of these new IPs in, or if they even do. I mean, we don't really know anything about the game itself. But you know, now that I'm stable and I have my own money and stuff, I can actually buy this game, and I'm excited to get it. And I think Kingdom Hearts 3 is still on Game Pass. Am I correct? They removed 1 and 2. But
I think they're all gone at this point.
I'm sure they're not that expensive, so I'll probably pick those up when we get closer to this release date just to get some experience in on them. But yeah, I remember being at a buddy's house back when I was a little kid. I think it must have been Kingdom Hearts 1 when it first came out, and he got it. And I remember sitting there in front of the TV just watching him fight bosses, and he had this big book that had every boss in it, and I was just reading through all the lore and how excited I was and how interesting it was to me. And that never left me, but I never ended up playing any of them, which is weird. So this is pretty exciting. I wasn't expecting this. This was kind of out of the blue, so I'm excited for this.
Yeah, there's a whole collection you can actually pick up that has like everything from like 1 to almost everything from 1 to 3. So if you're gonna dive in, that's the way to go.
Yeah,
but I do hear these games are they can be slogs sometimes. Like they can be long and they can be grindy and they can be confusing. That's the main criticisms I've heard about these. So I don't know about playing 1 through 3 all the way through, but I'm definitely going to jump in and get some experience from it.
So, Matt, does your discussion here, does that mean you're a Kingdom Hearts guy? You seem to know a little something about it.
Love it. I love Kingdom Hearts. Similarly to Ethan. By the way, real quick, love the UA hat. I just want to get that out there because I don't know if I have an opportunity to, but that's awesome. Anyways, similarly, like I saw my went over for a friend's house and they were like, oh, they were playing Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, what is this? And they let me borrow it after they were done. And then I picked up 2 on my own when the time came. But I love the series, this beautiful, ridiculous mess that it is, where like even now, like the mobile games are essential to the canon. Like there's like trying to pick up parts of the story. I was hoping that 4 was going to be, because this is like 3 kind of ended the first saga of it. And I was kind of hoping that from 4 onwards, we were going to get a bit of a reset. But they're already pulling in characters from the mobile game and stuff, like Strelitzia, who we see in the trailer is from the mobile game. So like there's so much that they could do. Like Ethan mentioned, like we already saw, people have already found like a piece of an ATST in the trailer. So like it does seem like Star Wars is going to be a thing in Kingdom Hearts 4. Like I'm really excited. I went I think it was right after I finished 3, or while I was playing 3, I went on like an 8-hour like lore rabbit hole of like learning everything all over again, because like there was so much time between 2 and 3, and I don't think it's going to be that long between 3 and 4, especially because like the development hell that 3 went through. I'm hoping that they've kind of learned their lesson and they're kind of setting up 4 to be, a bit of a reset, a bit of a reboot for the franchise, for people who were interested in it but who always were turned away from the ridiculousness of a very bloated story and a very messy story. But like, yeah, I'm really curious to see more. I'm really excited to see what the worlds are going to look like. But yeah, I'm stoked. I hope this comes out sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So I guested on Press YYZ last night. And their little podcast everyone should go check out. Had a lot of fun, but we talked about Kingdom Hearts in depth, and the collection you were talking about, I was informed that if I wanted to jump in, not only does it include all the mainline console games, but if you can't play it, like the DS game, it'll have the cutscenes in there, so you can catch up and see. And I'm like, that's a great feature if I ever wanted to actually like learn Kingdom Hearts, because the idea of me going and like, I gotta get a DS, I gotta get a Game Boy Advance, I gotta download things on my iPhone and play through all this is a bit daunting. So I'm glad they've made it easier now.
Yep.
However, I will say, Sora creeping me out. He looks terrifying in this new trailer. I do. He's so smooth. I don't like it. His feet aren't obnoxiously huge. I don't know what's going on with that. Like, I'm so confused. Like, this is not the Sora I have in Smash Brothers. All right. So when I'm beating him up, I'm like, okay, look, creeping me out here now. Garrett, I want to throw it to you. You're not a big JRPG guy. Has Kingdom Hearts ever been your fancy?
No, it hasn't. There had to be one guy in the group that didn't really dig Kingdom Hearts, didn't there? No, it's like I tried to watch or get into it, and like that story, man. Oh my god. Like, I'm cryptic of JRPG stories as is. Just no. I'm just gonna say no on that one. But on the other hand, if they bring out new Marvel stuff, who isn't going to buy it so that they could simply try to get Iron Man and Spider-Man to like see if they could take out Darth Vader? Like, come on. You're going to try. So like, yeah, in that aspect, I'll probably play it. But other than that, like, I don't got too much to say on it.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome point, because people were speculating in the trailer, as you mentioned, Star Wars, they think will probably go to Endor. And then people were speculating the Battle of New York for the Avengers. And on Press YYZ last night, we had a little fun, and we were talking about what if they give Sora an Infinity Gauntlet Keyblade?
Oh my
of some sort. Like, how cool would that be?
Yes.
Oh, that would have to be pretty near the end of the game.
Yeah, maybe Thanos gets the Infinity Gauntlet Keyblade, and then Iron Man takes it back.
If you thought the story was complicated before, you're in for a treat.
Oh, we're going down the rabbit hole. Personally, I really want them to stay away from New York. If they're pulling in Marvel, I don't want to see the Avengers. I don't want to see New
Yeah,
York.
they could also pull the last Infinity War to bring in more characters.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's so much cool stuff that they could do with Marvel, and like, do we get an MCU version? Because they do usually play close to whatever movies that they're the world that they're playing in. But like, I'd rather see Wakanda. I'd rather see out with the Guardians, out in space, because like Quadratum is already like a big city. If we're gonna spend a chunk of time there, I don't want to go to another big city that will already look similar in terms of just architecture and structure. Yeah, go to the Collector. All right, like the MCU is just so dense. Like, just please, I don't want them to go to the Avengers. I can already see it in my head, that swivel shot and Sora standing there with like Donald and Goofy and the rest of the Avengers.
Oh, God.
They're gonna want to do it. They're gonna do it.
I just don't want it. Like, just go somewhere else. Like, there's so much that you can do in there. Like, go somewhere else.
Yeah, and could I just say the lead up to this game, this is going to be one of those games that every bit of promotional material that's released, people are going to pick the hell out of it and find every little detail that they can find. And so I'm excited to see all the internet sleuths out there discover and decipher all these different stuff that's going to be coming out for this game. It should be fun.
Yeah, it's probably years away, but I think it's cool. Oh, Alpaca Tom says, oh, wrong one. Sephiroth and Thanos team up.
Nice. Nice.
I've never not wanted something so much. I like to think that's in response to Donald and Goofy standing back to back with Hulk and Thor.
Oh God.
Yeah. That's good. I'm excited for Kingdom Hearts fans. You'll probably have to wait a little bit, but I mean, the trailer looked dope. The combat looked awesome. Like, if there was what I'm hoping, and I don't know, maybe you can tell me how likely this is, Matt. Do you think they'll make Kingdom Hearts 4 like newcomers can just jump in and you don't need to play the other ones?
See, I hope so. That's what I wanted from Kingdom Hearts 4. Like, I wanted them to carry over, Sora, Riku, Kairi. Give me the main cast, but put them in a different scenario. But like, with Strelitzia already showing up, and that's a mobile game character that a lot of people who already love Kingdom Hearts won't even know about. Like, the seeds that they're leaving, especially because like I don't play the mobile game, but I follow it just to see what's going on lore wise. Like, I want to believe that they're going to make it accessible. I don't know if they will, because I don't know if Nomura can't help himself by shoving in, like, there's still unanswered questions from the original trilogy. There's still so much that we don't know, that like I want to believe that they will make it accessible. I just don't know if that's actually going to happen.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Now, do we think, now that Disney is so much bigger than it was in Kingdom Hearts 3, that we might see some live service elements come out of this game? Does anybody get that feeling?
God, I hope not.
That worries me a lot.
I don't think so. Nomura hasn't done any of that, right? Like, he's not. Yeah, I was like, he didn't.
No, like I can see the argument for it, but I would also hope that they learned their lesson with Battlefront. Like, I would hope that they looked at what happened with Star Wars Battlefront 2 and just like how like badly that game was destroyed because of all of its live service elements. So I would hope that they looked at that and they're like, okay, maybe not so much of that anymore. But you could be right. Like, we could get a Kingdom Hearts Battle Royale mode that's stuffed full of Disney skins and everything else. But I hope that's not the case.
Yeah.
Oh, well, cool for Kingdom Hearts fans. As I said, we'll move on to our next story. And I titled this one on our little scroll and talking about BugSnax, even though in the document that is not what it's called. But it is because we're going to be talking about BugSnax. So Game Pass is getting some awesome indie editions. BugSnax, the previously PlayStation exclusive, is making its way to Xbox consoles on April 28th, and it's launching into Xbox Game Pass for console, PC, and cloud. This comes with the news that the free DLC, the Isle of Big Snacks, will be coming the same day. BugSnax is a first-person adventure game where you collect bug food creatures and feed them to your friends. There's two other games we're going to talk about, but I want to start with BugSnax. And if I just can say straight up, I love BugSnax. It was the second game I ever played on PS5. I got the platinum. I remember taking a day off of work and literally just sitting there and catching BugSnax for 8 hours. And I was like, this game is amazing. It's like Pokemon Snap, but like better. Like it's if you think you remember what Pokemon Snap was, and then you picked up new Pokemon Snap, and you're like, okay, maybe I didn't like Pokemon Snap nearly as much as I think I like Pokemon Snap. Play this game, then you'd be like, all right, this is what's in my brain. I remember this game being these kind of games being awesome. So it's just super. And on PlayStation 5 especially, the little BugSnax saying their names out of the DualSense is so fun. Bunger like shooting out of your little microphone, or Strawby. Like, oh man, I loved this game. Matt, you're a BugSnax guy, I take it.
Yes, it was actually the first review we ever did over on Burnout. Like, that was the first game we ever got codes for, so we were like, it holds a very special place in my heart. But yeah, outside of that, the game is fantastic. I can't wait for BugSnax. Like, I'm so excited to hop back into that world. That game is so weird, but also special. But like, it's just like this perfect kind of mess of a thing that just, it's beautiful throughout, even when it's super weird and super, out there. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with the expansion, because like, I'm just curious to see, like, it seems like it's just kind of, they're going to slot it into the story. I want BugSnax 2 so bad as well, just because I want to see what's going on in that world. Yeah. But I'm super excited for this. I'm happy that it's coming to Game Pass. I'm happy that people are going to have a more accessible way to jump into this, because, being a PlayStation exclusive, and also on Epic, I want to say.
Yeah, it was Epic Game Store exclusive too.
So like, I'm excited that it's going to be in more places for more people to experience, because this game is just so cool.
Yeah. Garrett, what do you know about BugSnax?
Absolutely nothing except for what you've said. I'm gonna try it out for that. I heard it's a very kid-friendly game.
So it is.
I'm gonna give it a whack. It's on Game Pass. Don't expect rave reviews from me.
I just want to know what you think of it, because it's a very simple premise. Like, you set up traps and catch these insect food hybrid creatures, and then you feed them to your friends. And when you feed them, this is the key part. You feed them to your friends, and it changes their body parts.
Oh my gosh.
And there's a platinum for there's one character who doesn't want to eat any of them, but part of the platinum trophy is force feeding them while they're asleep. Them waking up and being like, oh god, why have my limbs turned?
This is for children.
Why are
I'm telling you, it's weird. Like, it's like, I think the
it's
face
one
of
of
it
those
is
new age kids shows where you're not sure if it's for kids or not.
Yeah. Like, there's the gameplay itself, I think, is very kid friendly, but the story gets really weird and surprisingly dark at points, especially with some of the sub stories for some of the characters. So yeah, it's a weird place.
Reminds me of kind of Viva Pinata. Like, it's cute on the surface, but when you're really deep into the lore, it gets a little dark.
That's not a bad example, to be honest. So yeah, you can give your friends French fry arms or wiener hands. Like, it's great.
Oh, that's great. I'll give all of my friends wiener hands. That sounds awesome.
It's dope, man. This game is great. In the chat, it's Kyle. I remember Kevin and I heard the song for the game one time while waiting for food in a restaurant. That was weird. I did. They were playing the BugSnax song in the restaurant, and I was like, "This is amazing."
Fair. There's a whole like sausage party thing going on.
Yeah.
Like, all the plates start screaming. Oh god.
Ethan, BugSnax, you trying this one?
Yes, I'm actually really excited for this. This is something that I've been seeing a lot coming from the PlayStation community and seeing how fired up people are about it. And it coming to Xbox is really exciting. And I think this is just a perfect game for Game Pass. This is on the same level as, let's say, like a Grounded or a No Man's Sky, where you get continuous updates like this and they just add new content. So this is just a great Game Pass game, and I'm excited to download it and play it finally. And then Kevin, I know Greg Miller from Kind of Funny got more trophies added onto it, so I know you're going to be trophy hunting.
Three new gold trophies.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now I gotta ask something that I don't know about PlayStation. When they do DLC and add more trophies, does that take away your platinum?
No.
I've never known that.
No, it's a separate list. Xbox
okay.
needs to get on that trend. The fact that just throw them in and ruin your 100%.
Yeah, it's rough seeing that 100% go to 80% real quick. That's what happened with Far Cry 6. But yeah, I'm really excited to jump into this. And I'm probably gonna be playing it a lot. Hopefully, is it multiplayer?
No, single player.
It's only single player, but either way, I'm still definitely gonna jump into it.
It's not a long game, like especially for you. You can knock it out really quick, like get the
Okay.
100%. And I mean, I'm just listen. Our friends over at the Co-op Podcast Network Discord that we're joining. You know, if you're a gaming podcaster and you wanna come join us, we're networking over there. I'm trying to get a BugSnax spoiler cast going. You know, I got some interest.
wow.
Okay, I got some interest.
Put me in. Put me in.
It's gonna be 30 of us talking about BugSnax. It's gonna be the best show ever.
Yes.
Everyone's just like, they're so cute, and then I eat them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited for everyone to try it, and I'm definitely excited to hear your guys' thoughts. You're either going to love this game or you're going to come back and be like, Kevin, you literally like the worst games ever.
Hey, I 100%ed Paparazzi. I'm pretty sure this game will be fine for me.
You and me, bro. You and me, Paparazzi.
The game was great.
Guys, there's another game coming, and we knew it was coming, but we finally have a release date. That is Trek to Yomi, the much anticipated samurai game. Will be releasing May 5th. Matt, you were seeing this one? You got any interest in it?
Yeah, I'm stoked on this one. The last time we saw it, where did we just recently see it?
It was at a State of Play recently.
Was it the State of Play? Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, I'm amped. The game looks really cool. It looks super atmospheric. Combat looks super interesting. Like it looks like almost like Sifu meets Ghost of Tsushima. Like it has like a really, really cool style to it. So I'm excited to jump into it and check it out. And I mean, this is another one that I think is just a fantastic Game Pass game. Like this just works so well for people who, you know, we don't know too much about how difficult the game could be. We don't know too much about like the actual, you know, the length of it and stuff. So I think this is a great game to throw on Game Pass so people can jump in and check it out. But yeah, I'm stoked on this. This game looks really cool.
In the chat, Luke Lohr from Xbox Expansion Pass, shout out Luke, friend of the show, says, I interviewed that dev.
Ooh,
yes, you
nice.
did. I read your interview. If anyone else wants to read it, it's over at Season Gaming. So go check out that. And Luke's doing great work. And spoilers, this is not the only time we're going to be talking about one of Luke's interviews in this show. So, Garrett, I'm going to throw it to you. Trek to Yomi. You heard about this game?
I heard about it, and I actually downloaded it. Was thinking about playing it later today.
Nice. Well, it's not out today. It's good.
Well,
May
yeah,
5th.
A pre-download.
Yes,
no, you can pre-download it. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, it looks really rad to me. I think it looks dope. Ethan?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I just saw the previews for it probably 2 days ago, so it wasn't on my radar until about 2 days ago. I love that black and white, like quiet, dark aesthetic that it has. It reminds me a lot of Limbo, which is another game that I absolutely adored. So I'm really excited to jump into this, especially with the setting and stuff like that. It should be really fun.
And guys, the third game I want to talk about is the action RPG Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. This will be available on all platforms and Xbox Game Pass May 10th. This is the first of two Eiyuden Chronicle games that were shown off last year during the Xbox Showcase. If you remember, this is the spiritual successor to what is it? How do you say it? What's Suikoden? Suikoden. Yeah. So they finally gave a release date for the first of theirs. This is the action RPG where it's like a side scroller. And I think it looks great. I'm excited for these two titles to pop out onto Game Pass. I'm just glad to see the console getting more JRPG love is really what it is. I think it's long overdue.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm stoked on this. I'm more excited for the next one than this one because this one is like the action RPG, while the next one will be like a full-out turn-based RPG. But this is kind of like the prequel to it. But it does look beautiful. It looks super cool. I'm excited for this one as well. All three of these games are great Game Pass games. So I'm excited to go through all of them.
Yeah, I'm sort of excited for it. I have no attachment to the series or any knowledge of it. I remember during that Xbox showcase, it was like.
Rest in peace, Ethan. Wow. That was. I thought I froze, and then I was like, wait, nope.
Phil Spencer's like, you are not finishing that thought.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Garrett, you have you seen these games?
I got nothing on this game.
Mm.
Absolutely zip zero zilch. So
That makes sense.
It's a pass for me.
I didn't expect you to remember it, and you.
I'm
lived
still
up to my
waiting on Vid
expectations.
Train. That's the only real ID at Xbox game that I'm waiting on right now.
He's back.
Mike's getting too powerful. I'm scared. He got a lock on me. But was anyone in the middle of a point?
No.
I was just finishing up.
Oh, okay, you can finish up and then I'll.
Oh no, I'm done.
Yeah, he was just saying he has no idea what this game is.
So I was saying during that Xbox showcase last year, it was just nonstop game, and it was nothing but hype and excitement. And I remember these two previews coming on, and it was just kind of like, all right, now I'm bored. So I don't know. It just might have created a bad image in my mind, but the fact of the matter is they're on Game Pass. I'm gonna download them. I'm gonna play them. So that's exciting just to get new games.
You very much have, and it's probably a good thing that more people. You very much have the mentality of download every new game that comes to Game Pass and play it.
It's free,
and I'm just like, I can't. I literally
I try them on the cloud. Oh, speaking of which, about cloud services, you know that lawn mowing simulator?
Oh
yes.
no!
It talks about the grass cut
Here
height
we
at the
go.
beginning of the.
Did you figure it out?
Yeah, I finally figured it out.
Yes. That's so great. So Matt, for the lore of this, I think this was like what 5-6 episodes.
2 months ago.
It was a long time ago. We were doing the what are you playing segment, and he brought up Lawn Mowing Simulator 22,
Nice.
and he got so mad he couldn't figure out how to adjust the grass cutting height.
Well, no,
he went on a rant about it.
You could figure out how to touch or like adjust your height, but you couldn't figure out when you're actually in the round what the appropriate one is. It just tells you 10-15 seconds after you're cutting at the appropriate height that you're doing a good job. So it's like, how the hell are you supposed to do this?
You have to like know the grass. That's why it has to be part of
you have to do like some feng shui thing. But like I actually like picked it up and like tried to restart it the other day, and it just tells you right at the beginning. It's like, this contract's for 6 centimeters. Like, well, shouldn't have been tossed the controller halfway through. Huh?
Nice.
You have to digitally touch grass and be like, okay, this is what it needs to be.
That wraps up Garrett's lawn mowing sim story arc. That's good stuff.
I'm happy I was here for the finale.
Yeah,
if I never hear about Lawn Mowing Simulator again,
you won't. Not from me. It's done.
It's done.
Well, no, I mean, listen, Sean Capri was talking about it for a little bit. He was interested, right? But I don't know if he ever tried it.
Spoiler cast for Lawn Mowing Simulator. I got it. Easy.
The lore that it gets into is just wow.
Yeah,
big time.
We'll just go round and round the table.
Spoilers. Sean's going to be on the show in a few weeks, so maybe I'll follow up with him about some Lawn Mowing Simulator. Probably won't remember, but you know. All right, guys, we can move on to story number 3, and this one's a sad one for me. Vicarious Visions is no more. Announced on their official Twitter account, we've officially merged with Blizzard Entertainment. Our development team will remain in Albany, New York, and fully dedicated to Blizzard games. So I'm going to go last, because I think I'll go on a little bit of a rant here. Matt, what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, this is unfortunate. Like it's always unfortunate when a studio gets kind of just merged into a support role. Like I always think of like the devs. Like, is this really what they wanted? Are they excited about this? Like I hope they are. Like hopefully this means more, financial stability. Hopefully this means more, or whatever. I hope there is a positive side to this for the people working there. But yeah, from the outside looking in, like this sucks. Like I was really hoping that we'd get a new Tony Hawk out of them, right? Like I think they nailed the collection, and I was really hoping like that was kind of the major one for me. Like a new Crash or a new Spyro would have been really cool as well, but Tony Hawk was always like my thing growing up as much as the other two were. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Like I hope maybe when Microsoft rolls along in a couple of years, maybe they give them a bit of their autonomy back. Maybe they let them work on something else. But for the time being, like, I don't know. It sucks. It sucks that they're not going to be able to create what they want to as much anymore. But, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Ethan, I'm going to throw it over to you. Vicarious Visions.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I mean, we knew about this since January, I think, when they first announced that this was going to be the move. But it sucks to see it. Just another one of our childhood favorite studios getting absolutely throttled by Activision. And it's funny, my connection to Vicarious Visions isn't really through the traditional way. I actually remember them mostly for back in the mid 2000s, they were making a lot of handheld movie adaptation games, like Over the Hedge, Madagascar, Shrek. I used to play those like hell when I was a kid. It was so much fun on my Nintendo DS. So I have a really big connection with them for that. That was a lot of my gaming life back in the mid 2000s when I was a little kid. So it's sad to see him go. And of course, I have my Guitar Hero on tour for Nintendo DS right here.
Nice.
You can see Vicarious Visions on the back right there, right here. It's so sad to see. But rest in peace, Vicarious Visions.
Garrett, what are you thinking about this?
I think it's just to try to expedite the whole legal thing to make it a little bit smoother going in, less entities. Right.
Oh. Okay. That's a take I haven't heard.
Yeah. Like it's just sort of, they're just trying to get it in. Like the IP is still there, guys. It could always be resurrected at any time. Like they're buying the intellectual property as well. Maybe they're counting on dissolving that up so they could give Crash and other known or names that we love to some of the other more idle studios right now, right? Because they are already talking about things with such as New Vegas 2, right?
Yeah.
Being done by Oblivion. So they are all down for IP being traded in between their companies. So maybe it is just an attempt to stop the SEC and these people from, look at all these corporations they're taking. It's just a little less on the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I mean, Microsoft isn't dictating them to do anything. So if Blizzard's doing it because they want maybe that approach, then it's possible. I haven't not heard that. That's an interesting take, Garrett, certainly. But I don't know how, like, we're gonna get 32 instead of 33 now. Like, you know.
Well, what's gonna happen over the next year?
Oh God.
Oh no, that sounds so dire.
Gotta do some Hail Marys by Bobby Kotick right before he gets kicked out.
Today
It's
we're
not like
announcing.
he's not known for him.
Today we're announcing BugSnax and every other studio
by the end of the
We're
year,
shutting
it's
down
not
Toys for Bob.
32. It's actually just 16 studios that they're buying.
Oh,
Everything's
no.
just these huge
We're gonna consolidate.
monstrosities. We're just consolidating for the things. The IP is still all there. Like,
And
it's
they're
just
all
different-
working on.
Isn't it just
Call
the
of Duty.
different dressing on the same package though?
Kind of.
I mean,
And
yeah.
then, like, as far as that goes, it just makes the paperwork easier because instead of that many companies that have to go through the individual process, it's that fewer companies with bigger numbers. So it all depends. I'm not that up there. I don't know how that sort of thing looks, what two companies or one bigger company would do and legalize, but hey, maybe it's an approach. This is like a whole new thing, right? So I bet you everyone's sitting there with their notepad.
It's interesting. Anyone in the comments, let us know your thoughts on Vicarious Visions, because I'm about to go on a little rant here. As someone that lives in upstate New York, where they are located, this is a travesty. And Blizzard, you are not on my good side right now. If you didn't have Diablo, I would tell you to F right off. This is ridiculous. You're taking one of the most talented studios that Activision has and being like, we're gonna make them support Diablo and our crappy games over the, like, no one cares about Overwatch 2, all right? It's dead.
No.
Move on, all right? Overwatch hasn't been relevant in 4 years because you let it die. All right. You let it die. And now you know what else you're letting die? Vicarious Visions. Blizzard Albany. Who cares? Nobody wants Blizzard Albany. What is wrong with you people?
This has been building up for years.
Right?
Listen, I was when we read a few months ago that, like, they got emails and it's like they might be merging. I made a video about it and I was upset then. All right. And I was like, maybe they'll hold off until Microsoft acquires them and then we can see what happens to them. And then just randomly on a Tuesday, they're like, we don't exist anymore, guys. Follow Blizzard. And I'm just like, this is so disappointing. This is disgusting. The amount of iconic games they have made, the absolute Guitar Hero series, they worked on so many movie tie-ins, so many good Spider-Man games back in the day. They were the Spider-Man team. Crash Bandicoot games, they made previous Crash games apart from the remakes, which the remasters were amazing. All right. They deserved a chance to at least either Toys for Bob's making a new one, or maybe they make a Spyro game. Who knows? They deserve to work on what they want to work on. Tony Hawk, Pro Skater 3, 4, whatever you want. They deserve the chance. But instead, you're like, let's go put on Diablo 2 Resurrected, and then everyone's going to hate that game. Yeah, great. Thank you.
They also made Star Wars Jedi Knight Academy for the original Xbox, which is something I also have a big connection to. So even more sadness.
Shout out to friend of the show, TPR, bring Vicarious Visions to the new skate dev team. Unfortunately, he's got to head out, but thank you for stopping by, buddy. We played some Smash the other night. It was a good time, me and TPR. Yeah, really, we met him through the Discord as well. So
did you win?
Oh yeah, I won most of them. I think he beat me. He beat me a few times, but it happens. Yeah, Smash. I gotta get that Smash tournament going in that other Discord we're talking about there.
I know, right?
You know? All right. Yeah, like I said, I won't use my main on you.
I'll be in there button mashing like a bastard.
Who is your main?
Ice Climbers.
Nice. Okay, I've never met an Ice Climbers main.
Yeah. Well, I haven't. Yeah, we did, and Kev busted my ass. He says. Yeah, no. So I've been playing Ultimate like competitively for a few years now. So
nice.
Yeah, and TPR and me have some good matches. Arcwings also heading out. Thank you. No one ever has, says Kyle. Listen, there are dozens of us. But back on topic. I'm just upset about Vicarious Visions. I know someone, their girlfriend worked there. So this is upsetting. I haven't seen any devs react to this. Maybe they can't react to this, but maybe they're upset. But from an actual fan standpoint, I think this is really sad.
And as far as I know, nobody's losing their jobs with this,
nobody's
right?
Nobody's losing their jobs.
So
yeah,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it's literally just they can't work on other games now, which is my disappointment. Yeah, they're just
Blizzard mouthful mode.
Oh god. Yeah, tracer mouthful mode.
Right.
Oh, horrifying. Okay. Well, we'll move on to story number 4, and that is announced on Tuesday. Certain Affinity has said they are deepening their relationship with 343. Quote, "We have been entrusted with further evolving Halo Infinite in some new and exciting ways. As previously reported by Jez Corden, Certain Affinity are rumored to be working on a large-scale battle royale mode with unique twists codenamed Tatanka, and are working with Xbox on Project Suerte, a rumored Monster Hunter-esque Xbox game. So this certainly doesn't come as a surprise for anyone that's been paying attention. Certain Affinity has, if anyone doesn't know, Certain Affinity was founded by one of the former developers that worked on Halo 2. So they've worked on Halo forever. Like they worked on the Halo 2 map packs. They have a long-standing history. Honestly, I'm surprised they haven't been acquired by Microsoft. Like this seems like a studio ripe for that. But it just seems like they're being tasked with helping 343 get the game into tip-top shape as opposed to where it currently is. So, Garrett, I'm going to throw it over to you first. What are you thinking? Halo Infinite seems to be getting some additional support here.
About time. Get me my damn infection mode. Like I'm still waiting on that. I haven't picked it up since. But no, it could be good. Let's let our minds wander a bit on what a battle royale could be for them. Like I heard things about like on Reddit there was somebody making a post, so it's probably nothing. Like take it with a grain of salt. But bringing back the card system. Do you remember that from like the earlier games, Warzone?
Yes, I do remember Warzone. I didn't like it.
Yeah, so like I don't know. I could see that being an interesting take, like going through the battlefield, and then there'll be like a better version of the Needler with like twice the range over like a group of brutes or something. That could be interesting.
Oh gosh.
Or we could bring back that tech test from Crackdown 3, and it's a battle royale where the ring slowly falls apart, like I was talking about before. And we all have to collide to wherever the last little bit is to hop on a ship and get off. I think that would be great. only battle royale version I'd play. No, just kidding. But no, like I'll wait and see what they could do.
Matt, are you a Halo guy?
Yeah. I played a bunch of Infinite. I played a lot on, with the Yomi and Capri community on the Halo Saturdays. But I probably haven't played since like January. I was like super into it for like a month, and then I forgot it existed. That game should not have come out when it came out. That game should have been pushed another year. That like the single player needed more time. The multiplayer needed more time. Like there's so much good in there. But I think that's what it is. It's good. And I think it could have been incredible. I think it could have been amazing because like, playing on those Saturdays, having that kind of that those Halo-esque nights again for the first time in years was so much fun. Like that game captures that magic really well. But like it needs more time. And I mean, like you see people have already fallen off of it. Like, I mean, what was that story today that like the concurrent player count is higher in MCC right now compared to Infinite? Which, like, I mean, to be fair, MCC just got a new update, so there's reasons for it. But like, that shouldn't be the case when you have a brand new Halo game that came out 4 months ago, right? So like, I'm glad that they're bringing certain Affinity in. Like, they obviously need the help to figure things out. And like, I don't know. I hope that Halo Infinite has that kind of resurgence alongside, season 2, or if it's the co-op mode that causes it, because I do think it deserves it. It's just, I think if they had come out on a stronger foot with a more fully baked in, multiplayer suite alongside just more comprehensive single player, I hope it recovers properly. And like, by no means is it dead, but like, it should still be one of the things that is talked about the most amongst multiplayer games right now. But I just don't feel that it is right now, which is unfortunate.
Ethan?
Yeah, Matt hit the nail on the head right there. I think we need to have a larger discussion about Halo Infinite probably next week or something like that, because we're already an hour in. But 343 failed us again, in my opinion, with this game. And it's really sad to see, because I was so excited for this. But the community is damn near dead now. I mean, there's nothing keeping this alive. They're not giving us any content updates. We don't have Forge. We don't have any good custom games, like, because we don't have Forge. You can't do anything with this game but just play these dry playlists over and over and over again. And then they like to just recycle different skin packs and to keep you coming back, which I haven't played this game since February. And that's really disappointing. And I remember last night I was actually kind of on a nostalgia trip about Halo 3, because I was scrolling through TikTok and I saw somebody's TikTok where he was on the Xbox 360 for the night that they shut down the Halo 3 servers. And I started remembering all these things. I came out here, I looked at my physical copy of Halo 3. I started remembering those nights I used to play with my buddies on custom games and Infection and Griffball and all the different races. And it just made me really, really sad to think about Halo, the last 3 main iterations of Halo. 343 has just absolutely failed. And we've given them time. They've worked on now 4 Halo games and they still can't get their act together. And it's really sad because like Matt said, you can see it in Infinite. You can see the potential. You can see how amazing this game could have been if they just let it bake for longer. But like I said, this needs to be a very long conversation we have at one podcast. Maybe when we get closer to season 2 release, we can talk about it more. But yeah, it's good to see that they're bringing in outside help, because damn, they need it. They really need it. How have you not given us any new content updates for months? I mean, it's just ridiculous. They're fine updating the store all they want, but in terms of content or playlists, they got nothing for us. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, I think 343 bit off a little more than they could chew with this game. I think they promised a lot and thought they could deliver things in a time frame that was pretty unrealistic with the COVID situation, work from home, and just their overall like staff that's working on the game. I think I saw somewhere that with certain Affinity, they'll now have like 800 people or something, like combined, like 343 plus certain Affinity. So they have a large amount of people that can now work on Halo Infinite content.
But what were the existing devs doing all day? Like, I can't imagine what they're doing. Like, it makes no sense to me.
I don't want to call out 343 devs, because personally, I think the single player campaign was really good. I liked single player a lot. I think the actual gameplay of multiplayer is fantastic. I think there's nothing to do. I finished the battle pass months ago. Like, what am I supposed to do now?
But
Like,
how is it that we can't even replay levels yet, even as single player?
That's a good,
it's insane to me. Like,
Well,
some of these basic features that they can't implement.
Yeah, and like I just feel like a lot of the, even in the single player, like there was a lot of great stuff there, and the set pieces are a lot of fun. But like, did you guys ever use anything other than the grappling hook? Like, I felt like there was so much there that was kind of okay. It's here. That's cool. But like, yeah, like I'm sure the devs are working on bug squishes. I'm sure they're working on, you know, making sure everything's running properly. I'm sure they're working on new content. But like, you know, like you mentioned, it's like I just think they needed more time. If they had more of this ready to go, and you know, given the absolute ride that game went on to even come out in the first place, given how they had you know, their creative director changed like multiple times. I think, you know, they had like after the like I wouldn't say disastrous, but I can't imagine they were so super happy with that first, you know, gameplay showing. There were people who were excited, but there were a lot of people who were like, what, it like this just looks like more Halo. And with a lot of franchises getting that kind of rebirth of something new, you know, look at God of War, even look at like, you know, Pokemon Legends Arceus, which you know has its faults, but at least is doing something new, which I feel like Halo Infinite was that half step forward. The open world is cool, they have cool ideas, and like you mentioned, Kevin, the gameplay itself, especially in the multiplayer, just feels so good, which is why like, you know, it felt awesome to hop in. And how cool is it that they're like, you know, the multiplayer is out now, like go hop in, go play. Like they handled so much of that so well. It's just that, like, you know, they took the couple first steps and then just stopped on the stairs. They had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I think there is potential here. And I think, you know, the devs are probably working their butts off to try and figure out what to do. But like, you know, I think that's a lot of problems with the gaming industry as a whole right now. There's a lot of these live service games that come out that don't know what they want to do with the live service, but are rushing to market to be there. Right. And like, you know, I think that I hope that they turn it around, and I'm sure they will. It's Halo. But like, you know, I hope they do it sooner rather than later.
Last night I checked the player count, 4,300 people playing Halo Infinite.
Yeesh,
I remember launch night of Halo 3 and there being 1 million people online. And I know that's a different world and it was a different time. Okay, I get that. But at the end of the day, this is not Halo. This is not what it's supposed to be. And I think it's fair to call them out on it, but I do understand. I'm sure they're under a lot of stress right now. I'm sure they're not having fun over at 343.
Well, I mean, I left the Halo subreddit because that place is a cesspool right now. Like, no, you cannot have a reasonable discussion and be like,
no.
I have full confidence that by the end of this year, and I know that's 8 months away still, that Halo Infinite will be in a much better place than it is now. I think with certain Affinity coming on board, this gives me more assurance that like co-op's coming, Forge is coming. But it is sad that like I was looking forward to co-op with my brother, like we do every Halo game at launch, and then we couldn't have it. And I was like, okay, I'll play through, and then in May when season like we'll just do it then. We'll do the legendary all skull run with you and our friend, like my buddy, and then they come out and like that's not gonna be ready until late season 2 probably. And I'm just like, okay, well now I'm just getting like you're just disappointing me over and over again. So like at some point you need to change the narrative, and I think this is the first step to that.
Well said.
So, anybody else got anything on certain Affinity and Halo? If not, we'll jump into our fun discussion and wrap up the show. Okay. All right. So our fun discussion this week, are subscription services devastating to game developers? And I use the word devastating in quotes. I wanted to discuss this because a bunch of articles recently came out from an interview with Lorne Lanning, the creator of Oddworld. Speaking to friend of the show, Luke Lohr, on the Xbox expansion pass this past weekend, Lorne said that the studio was expecting to sell 50 to 100,000 copies of Oddworld Soulstorm, but the game ended up being downloaded 4 million times when it came to PlayStation Plus. For some context, Lorne said, quote, "It's kind of a double-edged sword. I'll give you an example around Soulstorm. We were hitting a number of technical debt issues and talent issues, and you know, the game industry is emerging fast. Huge companies are paying fortunes." He goes on to say that Sony approached them about making a deal for PlayStation Plus. He further adds, quote, "The most we could sell is less than the money we were getting. Because of the limited number of PlayStation 5s that were going to be out there when the game released in January. However, the game was delayed until April," and he goes on to say that, quote, because it slipped to April, we had the highest downloaded game on PlayStation 5, saying it was close to 4 million units. Quote, so for us, it was devastating, essentially attributing the 4 million that he could have had in sales from what his perspective, what I got from the interview. But we've seen a bunch of articles take this headline and spin it into PlayStation Plus devastating for Oddworld, and kind of making it look like Sony screwed the developer in some way. So I want to have a discussion about, like, first of all, the the game journalism approach to this, but also, like, what do we actually think about the deals that game devs are making? Do we think that he somehow got like screwed by putting his game on PlayStation Plus? So Matt, as the guest, I want to start with you.
Yeah. I think this is a multifaceted thing here. I don't think subscription services are bad by any stretch of the imagination. With the asterisk, the caveat that I'll add on to that is depending on how much these devs are getting paid. Because that's the thing. We don't know how much Game Pass pays developers to get their game on. We don't know how much PlayStation Plus, both in its current iteration and its fusion with PS Now upcoming, we don't know how much these devs are getting paid. So I'm going to move on with the assumption that they're making a decent chunk of change by bringing their their games to these services. Is it as much as they would have made if this every single download was a sale? Probably not. I don't think that's the case. But like, I don't mean to be rude, but let's be frank here. I don't see Oddworld Soulstorm ever being a game that would have sold 4 million copies.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think like there's certain games that definitely, Fall Guys, for example, like probably would have sold, like, I mean, PlayStation Plus gave it that lift off, but then it continued to sell ridiculously on Steam and elsewhere, like otherwise. Rocket League was a game that launched on PlayStation Plus that went on to have massive reoccurring success. I never would have touched Oddworld Soulstorm like if it wasn't on Plus. I downloaded it, still never opened it. So like, I'd be curious to see, out of that 4 million, what are the playtime stats like? How many people have actually opened it after downloading it, right? Like, I feel like this is a bit of like a false narrative being built around a game that I really don't know how many people were excited about in the first place, right? Like,
Right.
and like, if you're seeing stuff like Sea of Thieves, which came out on Game Pass, which a lot of people, play, love, and the game that the month that it came out on Game Pass, it still was number 1 on NPD. Right. So like, I just, there's a false equivalency here in my mind that's just being used to spun a narrative of, PlayStation Plus hurt Oddworld when if they were expecting 50 to 100,000 in sales, like in terms of, units sold, the 4 million, I can't fathom a number remotely even close to that if it hadn't been on PlayStation Plus. So to me, like, I don't think these subscription services are bad. I think it introduces people to new games, to new genres, to new types of play that they never would have checked out before. I think it helps, theoretically helps devs so that, okay, if game 1 is on Game Pass, awesome. Well, guess what? Their sequel or the next game that they're working on, you're more incentivized to pick it up now if you already have a familiarity with what they're doing. So I don't think they're bad. I do think this is kind of the way of the future. Again, the only caveat that I have is if the devs are being paid enough to bring these games to services. But I think this is a lot of stuff being thrown around over kind of a baseless argument.
Mm-hmm. Ethan, you wanna jump in there?
I mean, yeah, Matt said it perfectly. These 4 million downloads, I mean, how many of these really would have been potential buyers anyways? Probably not a lot. I can tell you probably 90% of the games I download on Game Pass are not games I would have bought otherwise. And there's a lot of players out there like me. And it's obviously good for devs because they keep doing it. They keep putting games on Game Pass. I mean, you see these huge AAA games that come out and then they get a second life because they're being put on these subscription services. This is a huge asset for the video game industry, not just for exposure, but they're going to make some extra money now because they get their sales and then they can put stuff on Game Pass. With Oddworld, I remember when it first came out, the temperature was kind of meh on it. It didn't review too well. The low sale count might just equate to that. It just wasn't the best game in the world. And that is what it is. But now you have 4 million people that know the name Oddworld. And when you come out with maybe the next iteration, more people know about it. That's another thing about subscription services that I think devs like, is because it puts their name out there and it gets a lot of people playing it so that they remember it when their next iteration comes out. It's kind of like an investment into the future in a way. So, you know, I don't know, like you were saying, Kevin, the whole video game journalism narratives that they have to spin out of this to get clicks, it's kind of silly. It's obviously a non-issue, I think, in the overall industry. This just seems like a developer that, you know, just kind of salty.
Well, I don't even know if it's the develop, like, so I'm gonna let Garrett go in a sec, but I listened to the interview because I listen to Luke's show every Sunday night or Monday morning. So I listened to it and I did not give it two thoughts. I was like, okay, great interview as usual, moving on. And then during the week, I see all these articles with these clickbait headlines. I was like, that's not what he said. How?
Okay.
And then you go online and see all the comments on Reddit, and everyone's like, this is why Game Pass sucks. This is why I'm not supporting the new PlayStation Plus, because it's screwing devs. You got to buy games to support the devs. And I'm just like, none of you read the articles. You just looked at this headline for clicks, because if you read 90% of the articles, they give the context of what he's saying, that, hey, I think we might have missed out on some sales because it got downloaded way more than we expected. But I think you guys already made the point, not everyone that downloaded it was going to buy it. So I think the downloads are not an accurate representation. But he said it and everyone ran with it. And I don't think he meant anything malicious by it. So Garrett, I want to let you jump in here. I have a few more things to say, but what do you think, buddy?
Well, there is nothing left to jump in on. You guys have covered this completely. But like, yeah, no, I thought it was an open shut thing. I sort of read through it and I was like, well, yeah, like you guys said, there's nothing left to say on this issue. It was a non-issue to me from the start. I was like, oh, well, who knows? Maybe it was based on playtime. I wouldn't have played that game too long, but if my chosen network was going through a dry spell, I would have probably downloaded it. So maybe he was a little disappointed that he would have got a bigger pay cut if people played longer than an hour or two. I don't know, because I've heard a few people say the same thing about downloading it but not actually playing it. Just because like there was not too much going on at the time over there, apparently. I don't know. I don't got a PlayStation 5, but that's another good point, because I remember when this came out, there weren't that many PS5 games really coming out at the time. This was right at the beginning, so of course people are going to download.
So that was kind of his point.
Something valuable said.
Yeah. So no, I think you did make a good point, because when he made the deal, the game was meant to come out in January. So that's 2 months after release. And if those 2 months, not many people had a PlayStation 5, maybe a few million, like 3 million, right? If that, I don't remember the exact things. It got delayed till April. A few more million people got it. So in his eyes, like, okay, we just lost a bunch of sales because there's not really many PS5 exclusive games right now. Which he can have that opinion. I think we've all said it. You know, Oddworld probably wouldn't have sold 4 million. Like, let's be real.
Contracts suck. I don't know what else to say.
But one thing I did want to touch on with you, Garrett, where you were talking about like maybe his deal was based on like playtime or something like that. Matt, you was mentioning like we don't know what the developers are getting for these deals. My understanding, and I've heard Mike Rose from No More Robots talk about this, and I've heard the guys over at Drinkbox talk about it with Nobody Saves the World about their Game Pass deal. So obviously the details are NDA'd, but they have talked about how when they made their deals for Game Pass, Microsoft gives them enough money to cover all their development costs. So instead of launching in debt, they have made back everything. They're at least break even. They're not in the red. They're in the black.
That's a crazy deal too. That's
so
awesome.
Is that the entire development cost or just to finish it up?
So I assume it depends, because the way in this interview it made it sound like Sony was giving them the money to finish the game, because he was saying they were running into money issues towards the end of it. So I don't know what Sony made their deal. I do know other devs have specifically said in terms of Game Pass deals that Microsoft gives you enough money to cover your costs. So then you don't really like, instead of coming out and being like, is my game going to sell 10,000 copies and I'm not going to make back my development budget? Like you're good. Like you made your game. It's on Game Pass. do you miss out on a potential like hit, like your game blows up and it sells 3 million copies? Yeah, you could. But what are the chances that like your indie game is going to be that indie game, right?
Well, that, and I also feel like it really depends on the indie game. Like you look at Oddworld, and I don't think it's an inherently, accessible title for people. Like I look at it, and like for me, like I don't put too much stock into the the art style and the way that a game looks, but I don't like the way that Oddworld looks, and that's just a personal thing. And like I can't imagine a lot of people aren't in a similar boat, right? So for me, like I don't know, like I said, how much they're getting is a great question. I mean, we can see what's going on with Guardians of the Galaxy in Game Pass right now, right? Like there's rumors that they paid between 5 and 10 mil to get Guardians on Game Pass, right? Like the development cost you would imagine for a game like Guardians is way, way, way higher than 5 or 10 million. But again, like this is Square Enix that we're talking about. This is a publisher that has a lot of money to throw around, and now a lot of people just there's reports that Guardians is getting like a second life with Game Pass. So like I don't know, like I have a hard time with the story just because if Lanning isn't salty about it and stuff, that's fantastic. If it's just kind of like if for me it reads more of like a what if we didn't, like more of a what if scenario than like a something that he was possibly like angry or upset about. But like
100%. 100% where I'm at with it. And I did want to say this. There are other Game Pass deals, and maybe PlayStation has those that are based on like how many downloads it gets, how many like play time. So like you get little royalties, like maybe you earn a few more bucks if people download it and spend amount of time in it. But it's Kyle in the chat said, I don't know. Let's ask Rocket League what the chances are of blowing up. And like I said, I responded, that's an example, but 99% of indie games aren't going to do that, right?
Yeah, I think it just really depends on and that's what I mean. Like, I think this really is a massive game by game basis. There are certain games that you can see, like Rocket League, like Fall Guys, that have wide appeal that you just know them being on the service is going to skyrocket them right away.
Yeah.
Is that going to be every indie game? Not by any stretch of the imagination, but like there are a lot that are successful through this who may have not even, if they break even and they're able to kind of continue on as a studio to be able to make more, to possibly sell more. Like I have a hard time looking at this and being like, this is bad. This is why you should buy every single game. And like there are chances, like there are instances of games that like I have played on a streaming service and I'm like, man, I really do want to support these developers, and you can go out and pick the game up anyway if you really want to. From an accessibility standpoint, not everybody can afford a new game every week or every month or so on and so forth, but maybe they can't afford, the monthly subscription. So I don't know. Like, again, this to me just feels like a lot of hubbub being spun up around something that is already, said and done, and I don't see changing anytime soon.
Yeah, and one point I want to make about indie studios is I've said it in a few podcasts before. I played more indie games in the last 12 months than I have my entire life.
Same.
And that has not only exposed me to the indie scene, that has inspired me to go out and buy certain indie games that might not be on Game Pass. For example, I played White Shadows a few months ago, which is an incredible indie game. Super fun. I definitely recommend people going to pick it up. It's like $7 on the Microsoft Store right now. I'm not sure if it's on PlayStation, but I know it's on Xbox. Super fun indie game, and I saw that it was a new game on the Microsoft Store. Said, oh, that looks like a fun indie game. I'm going to pick it up. So that's another plus of this, is just exposing people to that market and getting them interested in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we have an indie spotlight series on the show. Like we've had that since the beginning of Project XTalk. Like last E3, I was waking up at 5 a.m. to do interviews with indie devs in Romania. Like this is something like I want to support indie games. So, I think that's great. Like everyone play more indies, support them any way you want, but like playing them on a subscription service is supporting them. I think that is where I come down to it. Like you don't have to buy the game to support the devs. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Nope.
All right. Well, then we're going to wrap up this show. It's been a great time. Garrett, where can people find you?
You can find me at Way1G on Xbox and Twitter.
Ethan, where can they find you?
They can find me at WhiteCedarOne on Twitter and Graby3448 on Xbox. Let's play some games.
And Matt, thank you so much again for coming on. Please let everyone know where they can find you. Tell them all about the great things you are doing. And I know there's something that's going on tomorrow that needs promotion. So
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun. I hope I can come back and rock with you guys again in the future. But in terms of where you can find me over on Twitter at burnout_Matt or burnout_pod for all things with the podcast, over at youtube.com/burnoutbrighter. Today we had our last episode of our mental health power up series go up, which is all about talking to different doctors, clinicians, and people in the mental health space about dealing with certain mental health topics. Nothing to do with gaming, but just something that we're very passionate about. And we'll be streaming tonight, actually, at 8 p.m. Eastern over at twitch.tv/burnoutbrighter7. For the month of April, every Thursday, we're playing a game that deals with mental health in preparation for Mental Health Awareness Month in May, where we're working on something that we'll talk about soon. And then, of course, over on Yomi and Capri side, where I co-host the PlayStation Drive. Tomorrow is Yomi and Capri Day. We're going to be streaming and doing a whole bunch of stuff all day. There's a ton of announcements coming. There is a lot going on. We have the unveiling of the new co-host for the PlayStation Drive. I'll be taking the lead on the show, and I'm very excited about what we're going to talk about and show off for you tomorrow. So come hang out. youtube.com/Yomi Capri is where you can find all of that goodness. So please come and hang out. And again, thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Everyone, please go follow Matt and check out everything he does. He makes some awesome stuff over there on both shows. And I'm excited for Yomi Capri Day tomorrow. I will be there. Looking forward to it. So until next time, guys, I've been Kevin, aka the Muffin Mon. You can find me at the Muffin Mon. It's a 1 and 7 I and an 0 and 7 A. Follow us at Project XTalk to stay up to date with all the latest. And until next week, we'll see you. Goodbye.
Have a good one.